Young gun Sam Henderson is gaining traction with his consolidation and growth plans following the successful sale of a parcel of clients in Melbourne. But just how realistic are Sam's objectives? He plans to build scale, boost his EBIT target, all the while being family focused. The question is how? Buy, sell, or franchise?
One of the challenges is actually making that decision. What's it going to look like and where's it going to go? I'd like the thought of a franchise, but I don't like the lack of control in a franchise.
But it was Sam's mentor, Barry Lambert, who added weight to the franchise option, citing Sam's media profile as a unique advantage.
If you're going to franchise a business, you've got something special going for you. It's got to be different because you've got to get people to buy that franchise. And most financial planning businesses are pretty much the same. And I think you have the ability to be able to do that through your obvious ability on TV, because you're not like some of the others out there. To be successful, you need to have a business that is like nothing else.
As Sam's mentor, Barry will line up a number of experts. First, he's called on someone who has an excellent grasp of the risk and compliance involved with building scale through franchise. With over 13 years' experience in financial service, Christina Kalantzis is the industry expert. Advising on billion-dollar deals, Christina is also a Supreme Court lawyer and the principal of Alexis Insurance Brokers.
I've always said, and I think this is really important when you're in business at any level, is that you're always open to suggestion and always open to changes and other people's experience and wisdom, because I'm only one person and I'll never know it all.
Well, Sam, Barry gave me a call and told me that you're looking at expanding your business. I just wanted you to give me a little idea about what your business is like, and I'll see how I can help you from a compliance perspective.
Sure. At the moment, the business is made up of about 12 staff, including myself as a key advisor. We have one other advisor. We have the rest of the staff are admin staff, so to speak. So we have a paraplanner and a couple of client service officers and 2 accountants that do the administration for self-managed super funds. So the business basically specialises in self-managed super funds with actively managed accounts. So we provide the strategic advice for clients as well as the portfolio management, and then the accounting business does all the administration, tax returns and just the general administration for the self-managed super funds.
Usually when clients come in and they talk about expanding their business, they look at expansion in 2 ways. One being expanding the client book, and the other one being expanding the advisor network that they have as well. What are you looking at doing?
Well, I suppose that's what I'm trying to determine at the moment. We have a lot of new inquiries coming from the various media things that we do, particularly on Sky Business. So we get quite a few people coming in and asking for advice. We also get a lot of people reading my books and again asking for advice. So we do have quite a lot of inquiries. We want to make sure those inquiries are being addressed sensibly and with the right advice. So I can't give advice to everybody, so I do have obviously a physical limitation on how much time and effort I can put into a particular client base.
A profile that I look at for clients, regardless of what their size is similar to what you do every day when you see a client, and that is to profile that client and to actually undertake the financial planning process. So what I'd encourage you to do if you're looking at expanding your business in terms of clients, or even if you look at expanding your business in terms of advisor numbers, or looking at franchising arrangements with other practices, I'd be profiling them similar to the way you do your fact finding for a client, and then look at their risk profile as well as to whether or not it's similar to what your business objectives are.
Maybe you can explain to me a little bit more what's required in that process. We're fairly, we're a well-processed business. We've also got fairly good segregation between the duties that we provide to those clients. So we have written processes for financial planning, we have workflows in place off the back of our software system, which is Coin, and then the accounting business also has well-designed processes to ensure that compliance is up to date. And we also employ an external compliance business to come in and audit us on a regular basis.
Sounds to me that you have the basic foundation of a really good risk framework, and in terms of corporatising that framework as well. And that should actually eliminate any risks with third parties, and whether that third party be clients, whether the third party be internal advisors or external advisors from a franchising arrangement. So the key that I'd be doing is elevating that and making sure that your monitoring and supervision framework is consistent with your processes and policies. So whatever you've written down in your workflows, whatever you've actually sought that your advisors do, that you're actually checking that is being done. Another thing that comes to mind as well is You've got your own AFSL?
We do, yes.
Yes. And who's the responsible manager for that AFSL?
You're looking at him.
Okay, so there's one key person being yourself,
Yes.
or you're the responsible manager. If you're looking at expanding the business, and I've also been told by Barry that you want to take more of a work lifestyle objective as well and take more time out and do your surfing, what does that actually mean to your business? Does it mean that you'll still be hands-on in your business or not?
Well, I'm sort of already doing that anyway. I think I've got the work-life balance thing sorted, so I'm not so worried about that. I do work from home a day or two a week, so there might be a bit of surfing going on, but there's also plenty of work going on.
In terms of you being the responsible manager and also working from home, the only thing that I want you to start thinking in terms of a compliance perspective is to make sure, as a responsible manager, there is an obligation for you to actually be directly involved in the day-to-day running of your business. What I'd like you to consider is, if you're seeking to expand the business, whether it be franchising or even internal with your advisors, that dynamic changes in terms of your corporate governance structure and in terms of what your responsibility is, and you may have to actually consider putting on other responsible managers onto your licence as you expand. The key policies that I'd be looking at would be one of breach management. So understanding the obligations of the licence, because it's a culture of compliance that you're putting into the business. And also one of complaint management as well. So if a consumer rings up, they actually know how to manage complaints. And also to understand the importance of your business and the client care model that you have. A client care model, whether it be an internal client care model, being the other clients within the business, being the paraplanning unit or the investment area within the business, or the advisors, as well as an external client care model, being your clients that you have as well, and third-party providers. So there are a few things that I'd be looking at in terms of risk managing the business. Compliance continually changes, and whether the business be small, medium or large, the way I see it is that an advisor who's running a business is there because of their experience and expertise, and that is advising clients. When we look at compliance, they've got different expertise and experience that they bring to the table, and it is an ongoing changing environment. It's important that they're living and breathing documents, and they're being updated to whatever changes are ongoing. Something that I want to talk about is branding, in terms of how do you brand yourself externally, and if you're looking at getting other advisors internally as well, franchising, what are your expectations on branding?
In what respect? In terms of how that brand's being used and possibly abused?
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons why I didn't want to go down the franchising path is because of the external compliance required on external authorised representatives, and that concerns me. So, you know, one of the discussions I had with Barry is, do we grow as a company, internally, so to speak, or organically, or do we actually go out and set up, joint ventures or franchises or something externally? That model to me is a high-risk model, and I'm very, very conservative in how I've invested my time, money and effort in the business. So I'm very reticent to go down that path and just, blow out the business and get all these advisors doing their own thing.
It's a good idea that you actually acknowledge and you know there is a risk, and an elevated risk, by actually putting on third parties as well. But at the same time, as long as you've identified the risk, it's about assessing the risk and managing that risk as well. So if you want to, or you're open to managing the risk, well then there are procedures and policies that you can put and embed in that business, and also warranties and agreements that you can, from a legal perspective, that you can actually outsource certain requirements as well, make sure that people are aware of what's going on. But I do agree with you, the more advisors that you put on, whether it be through third parties or internal growth, it does actually increase the risk of the business, because as a licensee, you're responsible for the advice that's provided to the clients. Sam, it was great having a discussion with you. I think you understand the risks associated with your business and your general licence obligations as well. The attitude that you have for providing advice and also maintaining a risk-free company to the extent that you can makes me excited in terms of where your future is. I hope some of the discussion that we had would assist you in identifying some other risks that you perhaps haven't considered, and I wish you all the best.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Christina. That was great.
It's been an excellent meeting for Sam. He's walking away with a far greater understanding of the risks and compliance involved as the business grows.
Just talking to Christina, I think there's a few tactical things that we can do to take it a little bit further. And it's the little stuff that just makes a really big difference, because if anything did go pear-shaped, you want to make sure you're well placed to get through that storm. Again, the challenge will be, as we grow, to ensure other advisors are treating it like I treat it. I'm always thinking about the business and thinking about things that can go wrong. You've got to educate the other staff to make sure that that compliance mentality is part of the business.
And so the key takeaways are, growing your business can increase your risk. So ensure you have a managed structure in place and that you stay well on top of compliance. After some 25 years, industry veteran Jim is hanging up his boots. He sold the Taggart Group to publicly listed company Austbrokers, and the deal may be done, but Jim still has some key objectives. In order to achieve a maximum earnout, he needs to retain both staff and clients, ensuring no drop in revenue by managing the transition well. All the while, planning for life once he walks away.
People ask me how things are going, and I think the question when they ask me that is the business growing or contracting, or are people leaving you? I can say unequivocally at this stage, not one client has left us to go to another advisor since the sale of the business, and I'm very proud of that.
So far, so good. But as his mentor Robbie Bennett's pointed out, there's a long and bumpy road ahead.
You're about to move into this big wide world of not being fully occupied. What's your wife going to say about this?
Carol initially was the one who brought dialogue about selling the business. I have an unquenchable thirst for doing things, and I think she wanted to say to me as her husband, you're a father, a grandfather, where's your life going? And that was pretty confronting.
To tackle those issues, Robbie has set up meetings with industry experts. First up, someone they call the marriage advisor. Anne Fuchs is a straight talker with years of experience in helping many a business owner confront both the commercial and personal issues surrounding their sales.
Hi, Anne.
Hi, Jim. Let's go and have a talk.
Absolutely.
Robbie suggested that we need to talk about Jim's life after the Taggart Group. So my question, when you decided to sell the business, describe to me what you saw life looking like.
I think Robbie may have told you that I'm contractually bound to the arrangement for the next 12 to 15 months. During that time, nothing changes in terms of my commitment to work, commitment to the staff, commitment to the clients, commitment to my family and to the wider community. So, full steam ahead.
That's the ideal world, but can I say from my experience, I've never seen it go that way. When I've seen business owners who have sold their business and the business is there, it's part of them, it's like an arm or a leg. The emotion attached to it creates complications and events, and I have seen, and I'm being genuine here and I'm not exaggerating, I've seen business owners in that handover period become alcoholics. I've seen a business owner end up in jail because of frustration. They've ended up causing grievous bodily harm. I've seen suicide. I've seen staff walk out. I've seen an advisor in that period with an ASIC ban. So everyone sees it going a certain way, but when it becomes reality and the business starts changing and the new owner starts tinkering with the structure and managing staff differently, it becomes very difficult for the key person to not become emotional. And so that's the question I want to pose to you. How are you going to cope with that?
And that's a great question. I'm not sure. Sorry if that doesn't satisfy the question or people don't understand that, but the first and foremost thing for me is to continue the next 12 to 15 months doing what's required of me contractually and also from my own perspective.
But how are you going to feel over that contractual period where you're doing the handovers and doing the integration piece when you see the new business owner with a different culture and ethos and how they manage staff, how they interact with clients? How is that going to make you feel?
Michael, who's the owner of Taggart Nominees, or part owner with Austbrokers, has allowed me latitude. And I think commercially he's done that as well. So it's pretty smart in allowing me to do that. So that's really critical. We're together. I have respect for how he operates as a person and how his management style. So he's allowed me to continue working in an environment that I've cultivated over 25 years.
But Jim, sorry, and I'll do a bit of a lead sales here in terms of getting to the core of the question though, that you won't have that influence, you won't have the ability to, if you see something that the new business owner, Michael, is doing, or things taking place within the business that aren't the way you would do it, you're an all or nothing kind of guy, and you are a deeply feeling person, and you care about that business. How is that going to impact you mentally, physically, spiritually as you step away from your baby?
I think the art of any relationship is communication. I knew what I was getting myself into with Austbrokers to some degree. Now, there is nothing in my 4 months to date that has suggested to me that they are different in their vision, different in the way they handle themselves and so on. If there is something structurally of great substance change, then I would talk to Michael. And Michael's very good to me in the sense that he'll say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And we'll discuss things.
Are you actually envisaging winding back? I would actually go so far as to recommend that over the 18 months, you can't go from all to nothing in terms of, you need to give yourself time before that drop dead date comes.
Well, Anne, it's going to be interesting. My first and foremost, as I said previously, is to continue with the business, satisfy those KPIs, those earn-outs, and continue doing the right thing by the clients. I've always maintained and stand by that. There's lots of things I'm thinking about. I mean, Michael might want me to mentor 3 or 4 advisors. He may not want me in the business. He may want me to take on another role. Could he ask me to buy back into the business?
Well, a wise person once told me, when you do too many things at once, sometimes you cannot do anything effectively at all. And I think at this next stage of your journey, I wouldn't, whether it's Mrs. Taggart or Michael or whoever, I think Jim needs to think about what makes Jim happy. Jim, you're very good at putting plans in place for other people and putting your energy into other people, and you deflect that from actually yourself.
You're very perceptive.
And so every time I talk about Jim, you're deflecting and talking about everybody else and your concern and care for keeping the business going and repaying the community. And I want to bring it back to you.
One of the questions that continued to come up, Jim, will you be coming back into the business? And I said, no. So if this is going on TV, watch my lips. No. That's important when you make that comment, and people need to, in a contractual arrangement as well, and also who they are. If that's what you really believe and that's what you say, then I need to be true to that.
And I do not doubt you wouldn't, of course you would honour your contractual agreements, but what I'm challenging you to do is to put some time aside to think about what you want to do. Do you want to be a mentor for aspirants in the industry? Do you want to provide financial literacy for people in the church and the community that can't afford advice and show them some pathways? Do you want to be an academic? But you've been in the business of doing plans for everybody else forever. And I'm just throwing it to you that you need to do one for yourself. Jim, I really believe you need to reflect on what you see your future looking like, because you have more options than anyone I know. I've enjoyed this conversation and I've appreciated your honesty and your candour, because I'm sure it's a very difficult conversation.
Very difficult.
I wish you every success, every happiness and every joy in whatever pathway you take.
Stay tuned and you'll know in 14 or 15 months' time.
I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
There's little doubt selling a business will be an emotional time. So be prepared to take a back seat in the day-to-day operation to focus on moving forward. Next time on No More Practice. self-managed super fund expert Kath Bowler lays down the law.
For accountants, their world is about to change because of licensing, and I think if you want to partner with accountants, you need to understand what they can and can't do.
And NAB banker Daniel Lowinger throws Sam a curveball.
There are ways to finance that, but it does mean actually gearing up that business again.
And Jim Taggart drops a bombshell.
One of the keys to success was going to be the staff. How are they? They're all there, I take it?
It has been a significant change.